All right, Bob Slocum here with Game Time Broadcasting here with Coach Moore. Coach Moore, we're on to the playoffs. How's it going?
It's going good. Been a great week of practice so far.
So, the vibe of everything I'm hearing, the boys are really fired up. I think I had 3 different parents this week tell me, boys are ready to go.
Yeah. It's been great, man. Like, it could easily be one of those weeks, especially after the kind of emotional week we had last week, to not show up and not perform and not, want to go out there and give it your best every single day in practice and stuff. But, our kids seem to be fired up and love the opportunity they have in front of them.
So let's talk a little bit. Great game, Vandergrift. Not the outcome we wanted. Offensively, we looked a little stagnant. First 3 quarters, kind of a defensive battle back and forth. Fourth quarter, we kind of exploded for 14 points. Mm-hmm. What changed? What clicked? What was working there?
Yeah, I think that we, did some things offensively to try to kind of get them off their routine and what they do defensively, and it was kind of this out of the ordinary, maybe out of the norm of what we do offensively, and so we kind of went back to the drawing board and still had the same game plan, but we changed just how we went about making calls and what calls and that kind of thing, and you can just see the big shift in our kids and how they went about running plays and that kind of thing offensively.
So what worked defensively? Let's go through the stats. Last week, you and I sat here. We talked Chilton, number 1. Mm-hmm. Really, the offense runs through him. Held him 6 receptions, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 carries, -2 yards rushing. Look across the board. First downs, they had 9. We had 16. We held them 31 of 106 passing and a total of 31 of 106 rushing.
Yeah. And
70 yards passing. This, is it fair to say, by far the best defensive stance that we've come out with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited and very, very impressed with our kids and how they went into the game as far as game plan goes and them executing it. I'm really proud of them. They played a physical brand of football, something that we've kind of been priding ourselves over the last however many weeks, and it's something that we hope to the tone that we set each game. And they did a great job. They executed at a high level. They tackled well in space. They bottled up the run game. That's something that they kind of get their offensive, like their whole thing runs off their run game and how they're able to, execute other things within their offense. But I think us going in there and doing a good job stopping the run, showed the success that we've had or that we did have on Friday night.
What about special teams now? Special teams has been really a strength the whole season.
Yeah.
And it really two broken down plays, 1 on an extra point, 1 on a field goal. What happened there?
It's unfortunate. You don't ever want to, single, a certain unit out or whatever it may be. But, it's just something that we preach as coaches all the time. Like the little things matter. And, a lot of people probably don't spend a whole lot of time working on field goal. Mm-hmm. I would probably say that's something that across the state that is not, a priority. Obviously, offense and defense and your cover teams are probably the most important when it comes to mm-hmm. special teams like punt and kickoff. But, we went back to the drawing board. We reevaluated how we go about doing our how we block up front in the field goal team and talk about personnel and all those types of things. And we think that we have a good unit going out there this week. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's not something that obviously you don't want to happen. But you got to reevaluate and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward when it comes to different teams and different units on special teams.
I'm going to expand on that if I may. So talk to me a little bit of how you build them up, because special teams, I mean, I've been watching football I won't even say because they'll kind of age me, but for a really long time, right? Well over 4 decades.
Yeah.
And the plays that I've seen out of the special teams has been amazing. I mean, I've never seen some of this, and it's every week. There's new wrinkles everywhere. How do you lift them up and don't be defined by 2 plays? I mean, you carried the team in other weeks, mm-hmm. right? So did you have to have any tough conversations or encouraging conversations with them?
Yeah. And, a lot of times in those situations, it's like a flush it type mentality. Like it happened, we're going to adjust and we're going to move on. And we don't like dwell on it. Mm-hmm. It's like bunt coverage in baseball. Like you're going to blow bunt coverage and then you're probably going to work on bunt coverage quite often, but you're going to flush what happened previously. Right.
Yep.
And not necessarily single out a certain person or a a certain unit or whoever was on the mound or whatever it may be, right? It's just kind of like it's the what you're trying to accomplish as a whole, not necessarily because we did a lot of things like that. What was the breakdown on the one long touchdown pass they did have? That kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's not. It's like I said, it's not singling out anybody, but you got to reevaluate and make sure you put your best foot forward moving forward.
Excellent. All right, so I get it, right? I'm a little old school, right? You win, you lose. It's a win is a win, a loss is a loss. But there's a lot to be said on the moral victories, right? On the confidence and the boost.
Yeah.
How are you taking last week's game where we were in it? Like obviously, I think we played the best football that we played, across against a very, very good team.
Yeah.
How do you leverage that now coming into this week?
Yeah, and I spoke to the Booster Club earlier this week, and I made sure I let them know I'm not a moral victory guy. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. Like what was like the old eye in the sky doesn't lie, right? What's on film is what was our product on the field on Friday night, and so we don't do that. Moral victory is not something that we pride ourselves on, but we do make sure that we bring light to the positives that we had on Friday night. We want to make sure that we let the kids know that they did well, what they did well, and make sure that we compliment them on that, because there was a lot of really good things that happened on Friday night for us, and we want to make sure that we bring light to it. But at the same time, we also have to reevaluate and make sure that the things that were the breakdowns are fixed and corrected and all those types of things. But if we're talking about like in the coach's office, yes, like we're very proud of our kids. There's a lot of things that we did really well, and but at the end of the day, a year from now, people aren't going to know how we played. It's going to be if it was a win or a loss.
Yeah.
So plain and simple.
Yep. Anything change from a playoff, like the prep, the work, the week, the boys?
Yeah. So there was one big thing too. Like people don't really understand that when you're going through a normal district schedule, like you get a lot of the opponent tape on a Wednesday, and when you do that, then guys that are like calling the game for that Friday night don't look and mix up game by game. So if I'm studying, for example, if we're playing Vandergrift and we played, Stony Point the previous week, like I'm worried about Stony Point when we're playing Stony Point, right? But we have some coaches that are starting to kind of get a head start on Vandergrift by getting all the data and everything put into the system, right? So when it comes to playoff games, you don't know if you're playing or when you're playing, who you're playing, any of those types of things. So trades usually don't happen until Friday night or even Saturday morning, right? So our weekend work kind of adjusts, and it's different. There's a lot more to do because you don't have like the head start, right?
Yeah.
And so what we did as far as adjusting our practice plan a little bit is we gave our coaches a little bit more time to be able to get game plan polished up, make sure that all the data and stuff is put in, scouting reports are done, all that kind of stuff. And we flip-flopped our practice. And so what that means is on Monday morning, we usually start, 6:30, ready to go, so walkthroughs and all that kind of stuff. Well, we actually lifted in the morning and then practice in the afternoon. So, and they gave our coaches some more time to make sure that everything that we're doing leading up to practice is all in. It's polished up. We're all on the same page, kind of going out on the same front.
Lake Travis.
Yep.
And we find out, I never really, you find out Friday night, Saturday.
Yeah.
It's Lake Travis, right? Schedule, everything. 10-0, 25 years, been one of the powerhouses in the area, right? 5 consecutive state championships, 2017 through 2011, right? 2 playoffs recently were losses, 41-14 and 2022, 35-10. Are you leveraging like some of the Vandergrift and the performance and the level that these kids played at to say, hey, let's make this December 11, 2020 all over again? Where we pull the big upset against Lake Travis.
Yeah, and I mean, what's crazy is a lot of these kids were like in 7th or 8th grade, and so they might have seen that game, they might have remember it. I don't know, but it's kind of like us now, not necessarily what we did in the past, but. I have a lot of respect for Lake Travis. Coach Carter and Coach Ludick, who's the DC there, like we've known each other for 10 plus years, and we kind of come from the same tree when it comes to playing defense and have a lot of the same philosophies when it comes to playing defense. And like I said, I've known those guys for a long time. Even to the fact that when I first moved down here, and we didn't make the playoffs in 19. I went over there and watch their practice and how they go about doing stuff, just because that's how you learn, right? You go see other people that do it the right way. And so, like I said, we're good buddies. I have a lot of respect for those guys. They do a phenomenal job. But like I said before, like it's about us right now, and how do we get ourselves ready to go out there and put our best product on the field.
Nice. And what does the tape tell you now against, obviously Van Hopping, I think, is averaging 112.6 yards a game, 3 wide receivers at 49.5 or more yards per game. Defensively, I know too big it goes to their defensive ends.
Yeah.
Carter Buck, one of them. I think David
Duncan.
Yep. And then McBride, obviously 24 touchdown passes on the season. What does the tape tell you? What is the keys to winning?
Yeah, and it's not what's crazy is like breaking down their offense. It's not complicated, but it's just done really well, right? I mean, like receivers constantly run sharp routes, and they don't take plays off. Like their O-line comes off the ball with nice low pads. Like, but it's not complicated, right? A lot of times you actually know what they're going to do before they do it. But you just got to be consistent. Like you get this read, you have to do this technique, right? And so that's what a lot of it kind of entails. But offensively, like Van Hopping, that's kind of what it runs through him. Like that's how they get their momentum, and that's how they get their offense rolling. But yeah, like their quarterback, he's a first-year starter, but he just operates well. You can tell he's been in the system for a long time. He's been running the same probably 8 to 10 plays since he's in 7th grade. And but then even going into their defensive guys, like those guys probably get the most like notoriety and probably get a lot of like the fandom and all that kind of stuff. And but I can tell you, like their Mike linebacker and their free safety number 8, like they're very, very good football players. I mean, I would even say that Zero's a really good football player as well. But they kind of go unnoticed just because you have like the Twin Towers out there playing defensive end, and they just kind of look the part, and so they kind of get a lot of the attention, right? But they're sound across the board. It's gonna be a great contest. It's gonna be something that we get to use as a measuring stick on where we are as far as the program, that kind of thing. So we're excited, man. Like I think a lot of our kids are juiced up, ready to go and play on Friday night.
I think we're all excited. I mean, I will tell you, up in the booth where it's usually pretty quiet, 3 different times in the first half, my watch went off warning me that it was in too loud of an environment. The Apple, the iWatch warning.
Yeah.
All right, keys to victory. What are the keys of execution this week?
Yeah, I mean, like it's just like any other big game, like, and when you get into the playoffs, it's all about execution. Like you gotta put drives together offensively, and you gotta play great defense. I mean, it's just plain and simple.
Basics.
It's basics. It really is. It's like to the root form of what football's all about. You got to limit the mistakes. You got to do little things right, and just go out there and execute. It's really what it's all about.
Excellent. Well, look forward to it, Coach.
Yeah,
Good luck to you.
Man. Thank you.